What up? How's it going, sir?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. I'm excited to be here, man.
Right. We're here with Mr. Lloyd.
Yep. Lloyd
Um,
Hopkins, $1 Million Teacher Project.
definitely. Oh, so you already getting into it.
Man,
So,
I'm excited to be here with you because, like, I love connecting with other entrepreneurial young brothers that are investing in themselves. You know what I'm saying? Because what I tell people all the time is that the hardest thing to do is to execute on an idea. A dream without action behind it is worthless. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, like you have to be able to put the action behind it. And just in my short time, me and you chopping it up, it's impressive how you've been able to just take things from an idea to actually execution. You know what I'm saying? From your healthcare company to now starting a media company to transitioning from the sports space into this space. A lot of cats can't do that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of cats, especially from the athletic space, because a lot of cats, because we start playing sports when we're this big, right? And that becomes your identity. And then when you start getting to that point where you have to pivot or move to something else, that's a hard transition to make. You know what I'm saying? Because it's humbling. You face a lot of insecurity. Just off of that question, like, who am I going to be now? Like, what am I, like, why is anybody going to care about me? So I commend you, man, for your ability to reinvent yourself. You know what I'm saying? And your ability to tap into your other talents and know that you got more talents than just that. That was just one aspect of you. You know, you got to give yourself outlets for all your talents. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, I'm here rambling and all that, I wanted to give you your flowers, man. I just met you, and the brother that's in here on the camera, like, I just like to see brothers making moves, and then you sharing your platform with me. You know what I'm saying?
and that's what a lot of people don't understand, man. They feel like, I think, especially when you're talking about us as people, I think they look at it as, man, I can't help you. I can't let you on my platform because you may do better than me.
Yeah.
You're gonna outshine me.
Yeah.
But it's not about that.
Yeah.
But we don't understand that some way that we work together, we can rise above a lot of stuff that people think.
You got it.
I think back about when they used to tell LeBron, just shut up and dribble.
Yep.
Like, literally, a lot of people just look at us as, oh, they're just athletic creatures.
Yep.
And that's the most that they can do.
Yeah.
But me,
or
like
we're here for entertainment. You know what I'm saying?
And I changed the culture a lot, man. I go to a lot of like executive meetings, big meetings and things like that, man. I'm going in there with a hoodie and some jeans on.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, oh, just because you see people walking with a suit, they successful.
You got it.
That don't necessarily mean that, man.
You got it.
I walk around, they think, oh, if I don't have on no watch and no bling or whatever, like, do the scrub.
Yeah.
It's not that, and it's our mindset. And I think they really have to change. We have to change the mindset, especially for our young generation that's coming up.
Got it.
So, I appreciate you coming in to speak with me.
Yeah.
And when I got word of you and certain things you doing, and they were telling me about, oh, man, he has this nonprofit, this $1 million project. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I said, young black man,
Yeah.
teacher, $1 million project? I was like, I need to know about that.
Yeah.
So tell me, man, first of all, man, tell me, like, where did that come from? When did it started? Like, tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, man. So, kind of, and again, piggybacking on what I was saying a minute ago. So I went on a journey a journey of self-discovery, right?
Right.
That really started after high school. I've always been a bleeding heart. I'm one of those people that, especially for black and brown folks, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really want to see us win and have opportunities to live thriving lives. Right. And so I grew up in an environment where I had no positive male figures in my life. You know what I'm saying? My mom raised 3 boys on her own to the best of her ability. But with that, there's only so much she can do. At a certain point, you get caught up in the trappings of your neighborhood, right? And what really saved my life was my younger brother. Because when I started messing up, I saw that he was messing up. You know what I'm saying? So when I was running around with guys in the neighborhood, I saw he wanted to do that. So it's like, man, I gotta figure out how to do something with my life, or else it's gonna ruin his life. And so I came out of high school, man, like really just wanted to be the change I wanted to see in the world.
Right.
And I wanted to be for what other kids, especially other black kids, I wanted to be for them what I didn't have. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be that positive male figure in their lives that was trying to pour into them. You know what I'm saying? Take them under their wing. And so that led me into education. You know, so because I first thought I wanted to teach. Right. So I always had kind of one foot in kind of community work, one foot in entertainment. You know what I'm saying? So I also for years performed out here under the stage name Atlas. You know what I'm saying? And ran a record label, man, and put music out and all of that. And there was a point that while I'm on these two simultaneous journeys, one foot in, one foot out, that I had to really kind of get to. Well, first thing that happened was that I wasn't necessarily making enough money doing the music to really sustain the headache that came with it. The long nights, the long days, dealing with different distractions and all this type of that. I had my son, he was young, and then really starting to unpack, okay, what is my motivation? What do I really want out of life? And what I really realized is that I was doing music because I wanted a platform to try to change the world. Like I was really just trying to impact people. You know what I'm saying? And at that time, I thought the only way you could do that is by being a celebrity. You know what I'm saying? And then I eventually would realize, like, no, everyday people can do the work. You know what I'm saying? To take ownership of their lives, of their community, and make a difference. And so when I came to that realization, my community work really started ramping up. You know what I'm saying? Because it's really like I want to make a difference. I want to change lives. I want to impact people. And that drove me back to education. I think education is the great equalizer. That if you're really trying to empower people, if you're really trying to give them the tools to create their own resources, their own salvation, it starts with education. It starts in the classroom. And so for me, when you look at any system that's dysfunctioning or not working properly, it hits black and brown communities the hardest. Every system. You talk about healthcare, the legal system, our education system. And I wanted to do something about that. I wanted to be a part of the
solution,
not the problem. And I live in the solution, man. I think most entrepreneurs live in the solution. Like I live in a solution. You try to create a solution or an opportunity. And so the entrepreneur in me, because I'm a social entrepreneur, so the entrepreneur in me recognized that in the work of trying to improve education, there are a lot of programs that focus on kids. There's a lot of programs that focus on technology. There's even some programs that focus on buildings. But there's not a lot of programs that focus on the teachers themselves. And the teacher is the most important part, in my opinion. Right. Teachers are your first example of success as a kid. Like when you're a kid, your teacher is the master of the universe. They're the ones teaching you about going to college. They're the ones advocating for you. They're the ones really trying to take care of the whole you. And as we get older, we tend to become disconnected from that. And I realized that from my time in the classroom. So I spent 6 years in the classroom. And that was as close as I could get to it. I was a teaching assistant. And, you know, I realized that teaching wasn't really for me, that I need to leave that for some other saint that's built for it. I'll ruin some kid's life. But it exposed me to the plight of teachers, how they're often underpaid, undervalued, under-resourced, overworked. Right. And it's a community responsibility to take care of that, to step in and support our educators. You got kids. I got kids. Right. Our kids, 8 to 9 months out of the year, spend more time with their teachers than they spend time with us. You know, like our kids are coming home after school. Maybe we're getting a couple hours with them in between their homework, but they're on these school campuses for a lot of hours every day. So they're an extension of our households. They're an extension of our families. So it's a responsibility for us to make sure that teachers are well-resourced, that they come into class every day feeling fulfilled, and they're compensated on par with how important their role is in society. So realizing that there isn't really no organizations focusing on the teacher, focusing on the solution, I realized I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted in some small way to be a part of changing that system. And teachers were just going to be my vehicle to do that. You know what I'm saying? And so $1 Million Teacher Project was born in 2016. And we've impacted about 3,000 teachers since we launched and about 30,000 students. Because on average, every teacher represents 25 to 30 kids in a classroom. So when you talk about return on investment, investing in that one position impacts so many lives, so many teachers, so many so many students, so many families. So the work starts there.
So what is it you guys do? So do you guys give like the teacher school supplies, books,
Yep.
like how, like what is it you give them, and then how do you select the teachers that you're gonna bless?
Yeah. So what $1 Million Teacher Project does is we partner with Title I schools and marginalized communities. So Title I are schools with at least 80% of the students on that campus are on free and reduced lunch. Okay. So if you could imagine, that's largely minority communities, Black and brown communities. So we partner with those schools on creating community-centered programming to help them increase how their teachers are recognized, drive more support directly into their classrooms, and create innovative ways to help them impact how their teachers are compensated. So what that looks like in practice is we'll partner with a school and we'll bring in full catered lunch celebrations to recognize those teachers. We bring in guest speakers. We'll bring in somebody like you to be a keynote and tell teachers how important they are. We play games, give out prizes, things that just make them feel valued,
right,
and to create a public display of appreciation for educators so they know we care about your profession, we see you, we appreciate you, we value you. We also bring volunteers and interns directly into classrooms to support grade levels of teachers. We're doing that to give teachers more of their time back, because there's this myth that teachers, they only work till 3 o'clock and they get summers off. Most teachers are working well beyond the bell. Most teachers are working 2 jobs in the summer. And we want to give teachers quality of life, give them balance. So we bring in support into the classroom to help with that, help with lesson planning, curriculum development, classroom management, working with students in groups, one-on-one. And through that, we give teachers about 1,500 hours of their time back. You know what I'm saying? So that's time that after work, they can go home and spend time with their significant other. They're not having to grade papers all night. Because I haven't met the teacher yet that got into the profession to grade papers. I'm sure they're probably out there, but I haven't met them. And if we can take those things off of their plate, that gives a lot back to them, so they're coming into the classroom fulfilled. The other thing we do is we do a thing called the teacher tree, where every summer from July to September, we do a community supply drive for classrooms, where we put apple tree displays in the community. Each apple has a wish list for a teacher. People can come by, pick that apple. It has a wish list. They get us the donation. We get it to classrooms. Because on average, teachers spend about $1,000 of their own money on classroom supplies. Wow. That's a fixable issue, man. Like if you involve the community, that's a fixable issue. Right. And so the point of the teacher tree is to involve the community in eliminating that expense for educators. And the last thing we do around compensation is, because we're a growing organization, we're only 6 years old, going on 7, and I don't yet have like the budget capacity to just go to schools and say, hey, here's $1 billion, pay your teachers more money. So what we do is we work with businesses to offer meaningful discounts to teachers on goods and services at least twice a year. So that way we can help teachers' salaries start going further. On average, teachers in Arizona make about 48th, their salary is about 48th in the nation. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. We rank amongst the lowest in education. Our teachers are paid amongst the lowest on their salaries. But what we look at is how can we make those salaries feel like $1 million? Right. And if we get businesses offering discounts twice a year, at some point we want it to be year round, we can make those salaries feel like $1 million. And that's our goal, man. So those are just some of the strategies that we do. But our model revolves around recognition, support, compensation. So when we go into a community, we're bringing those things in. And the way that we select teachers is it's all through our focused school approach. So we partner with schools and we saturate that school with our programming for 3 to 5 years. And so all the teachers on that campus are involved in our programs in some shape, form, or fashion. Okay. So the way that teachers get involved, they have to be on one of our focus school campuses. Or participate in one of our lunch celebrations. So we do bring those lunches to different schools throughout the valley. We do also monthly teacher recognitions. We partner with iHeartRadio, some of the television stations, and we do teacher spotlights. You know, we want to make teachers feel like celebrities. You know what I'm saying? And we recognize those teachers through nominations. So people can nominate a teacher. We go through the nominations, we pick them, and then at the end of the year, we pick one teacher to make them feel like $1 million. You know what I'm saying? So
that's deep, man.
we do a lot,
Is it? Did you start this on your own?
Yeah.
Like, is it? You started this on your own.
Check it out,
you had
man.
a vision, and
I started with $0 in the bank for this, and kind of like I was getting to earlier, that I went through like a period of self-discovery. So while I was on my journey of really trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, what I wanted out of life, I was working for a company, and I wound up getting fired. Right.
Okay.
So I hadn't been unemployed since I was 16 years old. You know what I'm saying? I had kept some type of steady income since I was 16, and I got fired from this job because I wasn't seeing eye to eye with my boss at the time, right? And most time when you're not seeing eye to eye with your boss, you're gonna get fired. And I called, and I remember to this day, man, that a couple things that happened that put me on this trajectory. One is I called my wife crying, I got fired, she helped me apply for my unemployment, but it was the second call. I called my younger brother. And my younger brother, I told him, I'm like, I lost my job, man, and what am I going to do? And I was frustrated. And he told me some words that changed my life, man. He said, great, you lost your job, now find your life. And that shit hit me like a ton of bricks, man. You know, because what I realized at that time was I was really like materialistic. I was really, like I said, my foot was one foot in entertainment, one foot in community, but it was really about like status, what kind of car you drove, what kind of the title you held. So I was really kind of like shallow, superficial, ego driven.
Right.
And my younger brother always has a way of saying the right thing to me when I need to hear it, right? So when he said that to me, I was like, man, he's right. I need to find my life. Like, really, what do I want to do? I don't want to just keep chasing another check. I want to be able to get up every day and do something I care about. So I had a conversation with God, and I said, God, I want to get up every day. I want to be able to get paid well for doing what I love every day. Like, I don't want to just go to a meaningless job. I don't want to just be out here chasing a paycheck. I want to do purpose-driven, passion-driven work. And so I spent 1.5 years unemployed, man. Not that I didn't try to apply for jobs, but people just weren't hiring me. And I think that was God sitting me down to allow me to really find my life, find myself. So I started inserting myself in rooms. Anything that interested me, I started inserting myself in that room. And if I wanted to do more of it, I would come back. And so I started scuba diving, started doing all kind of things, man, trying to find my life. But there were two things I read that really cemented it for me. One, I read a Fast Company article by Richard Branson. In that article, he said that he started every company he ever created out of discontent as a customer. And so it's like, okay, what am I discontent about? What am I, because I've always been an entrepreneur. Like even when I was in school, I was a kid selling candy in the playground. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think sometimes it's just in you. You know what I'm saying?
Hustler.
It's just a part of you.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, what am I most discontent about? Like, if I'm going to create something, what is it going to be? And it just kept coming back to education. Education is what I'm most discontent about. Because like I said earlier, I'm a bleeding heart. I want to see how people win, and I think it starts with education. So it's like education, all right. And then the other thing I read was a book by Russell Simmons called Do You. And why that book resonated with me is that in it, he talked about a couple things. He talked about that we all know what we want to do, just for whatever reason we suppress it. We don't think we're smart enough. We don't think we make enough money. We don't think it's possible for me to change the world, whatever it is. So we talk ourselves out of it. And in the book, he kind of got to like, you don't need to talk yourself out of it. You need to lean into it because that's your purpose. That's your true north. And then he talked about singular focus. And what singular focus is you focus on that one thing relentlessly and you don't deviate from that path until you make that thing happen. because sometimes the problem with serial entrepreneurs is you're focusing on too many things, and you got to kind of hone in on something like this is my singular focus. And so everything else became a hobby. And it's like, okay, because we're diverse, we're dynamic people. We have a lot of things that interest us. But there has to be that one thing when you walk into a room and people say, okay, who are you? What do you do? What leads that conversation? It's like, okay, what is that going to be for me? It's like, all right, I want to do something in education. I care about teachers. I'm a teacher fan. Like I'm a self-proclaimed teacher fan. I'm really a fan of the profession. So it was those two things. It's like I care about education. I care about teachers. I think it's the most important profession. If we're trying to educate people, it starts in the classroom. Teachers are the center of that. So if I'm going to do anything, it has to be for that. It has to be for me to bring more support to educators in some capacity. So I went back to school, man, got my degree in nonprofit leadership and management, used my time on campus to really build my business plan. And I graduated in October 2016. And I graduated May 2016 and I launched October 2016, with a fully fleshed out business plan and haven't looked back since. Because what I first had to figure out is how do you monetize this? I had to figure out what business environment made sense for this idea.
Right.
And I think that's also an important thing for any entrepreneur or any business person. Before you're launching a venture, don't just you can't hop into the wrong business environment. You got to hop into the business environment that suits your idea, what you're trying to accomplish. So you got to differentiate between, is this going to be a nonprofit? Is this going to be a for-profit? Is this going to be a B Corp? Whatever it is. Right. And so that takes some exploration. And you can't just look at what other people are doing and try to mimic what they're doing. You have to really do the work to figure out, okay, what environment suits this. And so that led me to nonprofit. Because really, what people also have to understand is that the only difference between a nonprofit and a for-profit is tax exempt status. Like, that's it. You're still running a business. You still got payroll. You still got overhead. You still got to generate revenue. But you still have to run a sound business, And so nonprofit doesn't mean that like you can't make a living doing it, which many people think they can't, when you absolutely can. It's just that the work that you're doing is for the public good and it's for the community. You're really owned by the community when you're a nonprofit. And so it was those realizations that putting all that together is essentially what helped me put together $1 Million Teacher Project. And in 2021, we got a $500,000 investment from the Department of Education. You know what I'm saying? Like,
congratulations!
Man. And they say it takes 5 years to take a business into profitability. So with anybody who's starting any venture, it's probably going to take about 5 years of you grinding, not being able to get paid, struggling before you enter into profitability. And once I hit that 5-year mark, we got that big investment. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of crazy to realize and go through. But that's just important. That's why when I talk to folks, when you're trying to start a business, it can't just be about money. You know what I'm saying? Because it may take you time to make money. And even if you make money fast, you probably aren't going to sustain it, because you're not going to know how to manage it. You're not going to know what to do with it. So it has to be something that you're willing to commit to work through the ups and downs, because it's not going to be easy. Success is not a straight road, man. Like, there's plenty ups and downs, and your passion about whatever you're doing is going to help you run through those walls and climb over them, instead of when you hit that wall, I want to switch to something else. Anytime I see somebody trying to switch to something else, I'm like, man, you probably weren't really passionate about that in the first place. Right. Because when I get told no, it just makes me double down. Like, it made me want to work harder. It made me want to figure out how to turn those no's into yeses when people weren't seeing the vision, So,
man, that's crazy, man. I want to go back, man. I think that was real powerful that you said, man. And I think about that now. So, like you said, when you walk in a room and they ask you what's your business, what you do,
who are you?
What's the first thing that come out your mouth?
Yeah, Because now you get all these multi-hyphenate people, and you got people that's I'm the singer, I'm this, that, and the third. And again, I had to learn that because when I was running my label, I was trying to model myself after like the Jay-Z's and without me really understanding their business model. So I was trying to be the CEO and the rapper and this, that, and the third. And so when I walked into a room, I'm given all these different titles. And the singular focus approach is like, no, man, when you walk into the room and somebody says, tell me your name, what do you do? What are you going to say? That needs to be a straight answer. And you can get to everything else at some point, but who are you? Like, who are you? What are you going to put your stamp on? What do you want your legacy to be? Who are you when you walk in that room, man? And
that's hard, man. That's dope, man. So just seeing a lot of stuff that you guys do, man. What would you say one of the things that you guys, for people that's listening that want to get involved and really want to participate in it, like what are some of the things that you guys really need? Like, is it funds? Is it more? Is it books? Is it like what are some of the things you said that you guys mostly can use right now?
Yeah. So funds is always important. We need investment. We need the community to really be a part of this work of supporting teachers and understanding how that is going not only impacts kids, it impacts community, it impacts business. So we all need to be a part of that. So we definitely need investment so we can continue scaling. I want to be statewide, and then at some point I want to be national. I even want to be international at some point. What I like to say is we want to go wherever their teachers are. So we definitely need investment. We need volunteers, people that want to help out in the classroom, that want to support a teacher in that regard. People that want to come help us celebrate teachers over a lunch. You know what I'm saying? So business partners are things that we need. We just launched an endowment fund, so we can offer financial assistance to educators. We're always recruiting for board members. So there's no shortage of way for people to get involved. If anybody wants to have a conversation, they can just visit us at our website, milliondollarteacherproject.org. Just put it all together, or they can hit us on social media. We're on all social media platforms at MDT Project. So M as in million, D as in dollar, T as in teacher project. Hit us. Like I said, we're a pathway of involvement. So we try to create many different ways for people to get involved, and we'll find a way that's realistic for you. And even you inviting me here is an example, man. Like you putting that camera on us and letting us have this conversation, there's going to be somebody watching and say, yeah, he's right. I do need to support teachers in some shape, form, or fashion. Do it in a way that's real to you. Right. Activism, being involved in the community can't be performative. So what I mean by that is like for some people, they're all about going out and marching. For some people, they're on social media doing stuff. You can't base your form of activism on what other people are doing. Right. It has to be something that's real to you, something that excites you, so that way it can be sustainable. Like it has to fit your life. And it has to be in your wheelhouse with your resources. So if it's just you turning some cameras on and letting me come in here and spout for a few minutes about what we do, this is having an impact because there's going to be somebody that watches this and says, I'll get involved. I'll donate. I'll help. I'm going to come volunteer. So we all just have to figure out a way that's realistic to us, and we just want to be the pathway for that involvement.
Man, that's deep. So let me ask you this on a personal level. If you look back now, I know you said you came up, through a lot of tough situations and where you at now. If I go back and we speak to people from your past, and then we speak to people from your current, and we ask them to describe you in one word, will that word be the same? If not, what would that word be?
That's a deep question, man. Would that word be the same? I would say, maybe. So, because the thing about me is I've always been a leader. So even when I was in school, I was leading my crew. Like I wasn't the kid to go join a gang. I was the kid to start my own gang. You know what I'm saying? Like I've always been like a leader. So I would say that would probably be the word. It'd either be leader or it'd be passionate. You know what I'm saying? Like I've always been. and fearless. Like any one of those three words, man. I don't know. I guess it depends on who you ask. I guess it depends on if you talk to some of the girls at my high school, man, they'd be like, that dude is a nerd. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It depends on who you talking to, man. But I think those three words basically sum me up, man. Leader, passionate, fearless.
And just for me knowing you for a little bit of time, I can definitely see the leader and the passionate, because in order to be able to start a project like this, and I can tell when I sit down and talk to people, I can tell when they're passionate about something.
Yeah.
And I can see it how deep down. It's not about no status now. It's not about the money. It's like you're really passionate and articulate about when you're talking about your business. And like I said, I think that's the big difference as one entrepreneur to another.
Yeah.
It's kind of like with me. It's like you can put me in any kind of environment and I can go.
Yep.
When I'm talking about something that I know and I feel comfortable with and I'm passionate about.
Yep.
And I can tell that's coming from you.
Yep.
And that's when I always tell people, and it goes back to what you said, you have to be passionate about it.
Yep.
If you're not passionate about it and if you can't go on, I tell people all the time, if it's the news, if it's a podcast, whatever it is, be like, you don't be nervous. Yeah, if it's something that I don't feel comfortable with. But if it's something that I know is me, and hey, put me in front of anybody.
Just turn that mic on. Let's go.
Hey, put me in front of hyenas, anybody you want. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna make it happen. So that's one thing I could say. You know, just from the short time I know you, I would say leader and passionate.
Yeah, man.
So man, I definitely appreciate you stopping by, man. Like, you know, this is something that I didn't know about, and I definitely want to get involved. I also have a nonprofit myself, and definitely, you know, we can talk a little bit later about some things that we can do, you know, to definitely work together. And because one of my big thing is just about teaching, impacting the community, you know, letting people know that, hey, there are people out there that you can work with.
You got it.
You know, I'm not, at the end of the day, I'm not in competition with nobody but myself. And I think that's what a lot of people do, like with social media and everything like that. People looking at social media like, oh, he got this, let me get that. Like, no, man, I'm looking in the mirror, man. What I got to do to make myself better? It doesn't matter what everybody else doing on social media. What I can do to make myself better.
You're the competitive advantage. When I launched this organization, I literally had to have a conversation with myself. And I had to say, Lloyd, is it about Lloyd changing education, or is it about education just needing to be changed? And if the answer is it's just about education needing to be changed, it doesn't matter whose name is on the wall, whose name is on the door, who gets the award. You just need to, in some small part, be a part of that change. And so with that, I was able to shed the ego and understand that my competition is only myself, because often how we're taught is that don't share your ideas, keep it here. Like somebody might steal your idea. But what I realize in alignment with what you're saying is that somebody could try to replicate what I do, but they're not going to do it like me. Like, I'm the competitive advantage because they don't have the walk or the journey that I went through that put me in a position that I even wanted to create this. So now what you're going to be doing is looking at a picture of what you think I'm doing and trying to replicate it, but you're probably going to fail. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't got those inner ingredients. You don't got that secret sauce that came from my journey. We're the competitive advantage, man. None of us are really competing with anybody. And there's enough resources out here for all of us. And there's more power in us working together. Because, one, I love for people to see brothers working together, doing things, especially in this space, nonprofit space, because there's so many misconceptions that we don't care. You know what I'm saying? That's why I really take a lot of pride in what I do in education. Because when they're talking about marginalized communities, black and brown communities, they'll talk about the parents don't care. They really don't care. They don't want to learn. Like, no, we care. We care so much that we're creating organizations to try to fix it. We care so much that we're getting in the community and working together to try to fix it. We're not waiting for Superman. We're not waiting for some superhero to come down here and save us because they're not coming. We are the superhero. You know what I'm saying? So it's for us to use our resources, whatever it is, our time, talent, and treasures, to try to move our community forward. Because the better we do that, the more of us win. You know what I'm saying? So it's important, man.
Man, that's deep. So the last few things before I let you go, and it's really important that you said too. I hear Mark Cuban said this a lot too. You know, when you said you can't compete with nobody but yourself. Like, I could tell you what my my idea is,
Yep.
but at the end of the day, am I gonna allow you to outwork me
You
to
got
that
it.
thing?
Amen.
So at the end of the day, I can sit here and tell you my story all day, and if you come and be more successful, then you outwork me
Yep,
at
you
the end
got
of the day.
it. You got
So
it.
guess what? If you get up and you start my same business, and I'm open 8 to 5,
Yep.
you go open 8 to 5, you win it. Hey, I'm gonna go open 6 to
you
6.
go. Yep.
You gotta outwork it. So don't
Yep.
never let nobody tell you like,
Yep.
oh, don't tell nobody your business, because at the end of the day, everything we do is a replica of something else that's already
Got it.
done.
No idea is original, man.
Hey, at this point,
Yeah.
it ain't everything we do is something else other people created. So I
Yeah.
always try to tell people, man, hey, don't be afraid. Tell people what it is, and you just outwork them
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And just
And I
not
know, not to cut you off,
Okay.
man, but I just want to capture this thought before we get out of here. And I don't want to get too philosophical and all of that kind of stuff. But I really do, man. I believe in the law of attraction and the power of the universe. And I do think that it's important for us to share our ideas. There's this book called The Alchemist that I swear by, man. And in The Alchemist, it talks about when you know what you want, the entire universe conspires for you to get it. And so I think that a part of that process is you do have to share your ideas. You can't hold it so close. You do got to share so you make room for the universe to meet you where you're at. Like I said, man, I started this organization that I had no idea. I just knew I wanted to support teachers. It's going to be a nonprofit. I had no idea how I would generate the revenue, how I would scale. I just jumped in. And we got a $500,000 investment. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of that is a testament to being able to speak it, law of attraction, universe coming together. So I just think there's power in the tongue, man, and we do have to share our ambitions. We have to share our dreams.
You have to, man. And
Yeah.
I learned too, just with my brother over here, D, that's behind the mics and stuff like that. Me and him just really start working really detailed, like as far as like on the business aspect of it, and just me sharing different things from him and from one entrepreneur to another.
Yeah.
He's giving me all these ideas, and I'm like, damn, man, I ain't never think of that,
Yeah.
man. And sometimes people, like a lot, especially brothers, oh, I know it,
Yeah.
I know it all. You
Yeah.
can't tell me. I own my own business.
Yeah.
My business is more successful. No, like he's shown me just in a brief time so many different things that I'm gonna add to my business that's gonna continue to take it to another
Amen.
level.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge, and that's why I want to do this platform as well, for us to continue to give out that stuff and
Yeah.
just know, man, don't look at each other as competition. At the end of the day, look at us as saying, how can we work together to continue to build? So in closing, with the $1 Million Project, what if it's people out here that's listening to this that's not in Arizona?
Yeah.
Right now, are you guys only working with schools in Arizona?
Yeah. Right now we're just in Arizona. We do want to scale though. Like I said earlier, at some point we want to be national. We want to be international. So reach out. If anybody's watching this outside of Arizona, like let's talk. Let's talk about how we could potentially replicate this model in your area, because we're building this I've built this model to travel. We built it to be adaptable, because what we understand is no two schools are alike, no two school districts are alike. So our model will always revolve around recognition, support, and compensation, but how we do it in different areas may be different. So we intentionally built it to travel. So I want to talk to folks because we do want to be national, but we need the partners to help us get there.
Oh, man, there you go, man. Hey, if you guys haven't, if you didn't know what it is already, man, make sure you check it out. The $1 Million Project. Down below, you're going to see the website. You'll see the social media handles. I know, most importantly, I'm definitely going to be reaching out. We're definitely going to be doing some work together, man. I really appreciate you from stopping by, man.
Yeah. And one thing I just want to add is $1 Million Teacher Project.
$1 Million Teacher Project.
So I don't want people Googling $1 Million Project and then it lead them to something else. $1 Million Teacher Project. Hit us up, man. Hit us up. I appreciate you, brother.
No problem, man. So until next time, see you later.